I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? It is the Vegas Take on a Tuesday. Glad you could join us, Sharp and Shapiro. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun today. A lot to get to, a lot to go over. Coming up here in just a few minutes, one of the best voices, certainly, of my generation. The lead singer, of course, the band Creed, Scott Stapp. Scott, thank you so much for being here, my man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
You made it. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
No problem.
God, I have a lot to get to with you in such a short period of time. But first of all, this is exciting, right? You got a new single coming out, "Purpose for Pain."
Yeah.
New record coming out in mid-July.
Yeah.
And you got a new tour. So this is a really exciting time.
Yeah, it's a great time. I was actually just at another radio station today who's been really pumping here in Vegas, the new single, "Purpose for Pain." And promoting the album, and so we did an acoustic performance and just showed them some love because they've been giving us so much love.
Yeah, God, there's so many questions I want to get to you in a short period of time. If I may, let's go back to 1993. You formed the band Creed.
Right.
I talked to a lot of bands, many of which have not had your success. But they always say there was that one person in their life that gave them that extra jump to make it, to get on that national stage. When you go back to the early 90s, was there one or two people you say, man, if I didn't know that person, maybe Creed would not have had the opportunity to make all these great albums?
Well, I mean, the number one person that comes to mind would be Mark Tremonti. We went to high school together. I was a year in front of him. But we had a random passing at a party my senior year in high school, and I saw him out on a deck when I was walking past the sliding glass door playing acoustic guitar. And I remember opening the door, and I said, "You play guitar?" He said, "Yeah." And I go, "I sing and write songs too." Huh. He goes, "Cool, man, cool." And I was like, "Awesome, all right."
And that's how it started.
And then we both ended up in Tallahassee, not knowing each other was there.
Right.
We had mutual friends, and I was looking to start a band. And one of our mutual friends said, "You should call Mark from high school." And I was like, "That's right." And so I called him, we met, and the rest is history.
And then My Own Prison comes out. You're in your mid-20s.
Yeah.
And you sell 6 million albums, airplay everywhere, and it still does that. It's such a great album. You have so many great albums. How are you able to handle being a celebrity almost overnight? You guys are pretty much one of the most popular bands on the planet.
Right.
How are you able to handle all that pressure playing in front of 30, 40,000 people every night?
You know, everything happens so fast that we really, I don't think, at least for me, I didn't have time to think about it. And looking back now, in the rearview mirror, some things I handled well, and some things I did not handle well. There was no manual or guidebook or rookie camp, to kind of guide me or give me advice on what to do and what not to do, and how to handle this and how to handle that. I think I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants and kind of in one regard, trying to be true as an artist, and in another regard, trying to live up to the movies I saw, like the Doors movie,
sure,
and thinking that was how you were supposed to be, and in terms of after the shows and
sure,
and whatnot, and so those are the pitfalls, man. And if you don't have people around you to help you navigate that, then it's inevitable.
And you've been through so many ups and downs in your career, in your personal life, and I don't want to labor the point on that.
Right.
I do want to talk about your Dallas Cowboys, too, by the way. We will get to that, I promise. But, let's go to the early 2000s. You've been very open about your personal life, which I respect a great deal, because not a lot of people are able to do that. You talk about issues with mental illness. You talk about that, and then you tell a story about how you went to see a doctor, and they just gave you antidepressants, and that didn't help you at all. In fact, it made you worse, right?
Yeah, that was in 1998.
So that was before that.
Yeah, that was in 1998. And I just woke up one day, and this is how I remember it. It was probably, something that gradually set in. But I just woke up one day and just knew something was wrong. I had no energy. The way I couldn't feel any joy. I felt this emptiness. And everything that could possibly be coming true, of my dreams manifesting was happening. So there was no reason to be feeling this way.
And you had no idea you were bipolar. Idea.
I had no idea. It was depression.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that I had an onset of depression hit me.
Right.
And so I was on the tour bus and I went to a walk-in clinic and thought I was going to get a blood test and whatnot. And the doctor ended up giving me Zoloft, which at the time was I think it was a really new antidepressant.
Right.
And I had no idea that, he didn't give me any advice on, hey, don't mix this with beer or alcohol.
You didn't know.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so looking back, that naivety and then just continuing to go about my life as if nothing needed to change and the pill would fix everything, eventually caught up with me and things just got out of control.
That's wild. And then 4, 5, 6 years later, you've talked about how you almost lost your family, right?
Yeah.
You almost lost your family. You
Yeah.
realized you were bipolar.
Yeah.
And now look at where you are today, making new music. You look great.
Thanks, man.
Music is fantastic.
Yeah.
This might be a personal question, but I know you were in that same era, close to it. Chris Cornell. I know you were friends with Scott Weiland. Do you ever think to yourself, gosh, if I didn't get the help that I needed, do you think to yourself, man, I could have ended up like that if I didn't take care of myself?
I mean, to be honest with you, I could probably, we don't have time, but I could probably list 9 or 10 different circumstances where I shouldn't be here right now. That I am just, by the grace of God, I'm still here today. And then meeting my wife, Jacqueline.
Sure.
That was really the turning point, and her impact on my life, and
She
just
stood by you the whole way.
sticking by me, and because she knew deep down, because she saw me during periods of sobriety, and when I was wasn't fueling and self-medicating, so she knew who I was inside and in my heart and the real me, and so when I would relapse or get back into partying or whatnot, she knew there was something else going on. She's a very intelligent woman and has a family full of doctors and lawyers, and I'm sure they were all speaking to that we need to get him some help because there's something else going on.
And you read some stories, and we don't need to go into all of them, but I read a story where you get into a physical altercation with 311. Do you talk about that?
Yeah, what that was, man, is and I've since spoken to the singer.
You have
of the band. We were both at the time, drinking and partying hard, and it was just
it happens.
It was just a stupid.
Scott, I'm from Omaha. I know those guys pretty well.
Yeah,
I know Nick pretty well.
Yeah, it was just a stupid bar.
Yeah.
Inebriated situation, and we've both since spoken on the phone. He's sober, I'm sober now, and we're both just like, dude,
you just laugh it off.
Sorry about that, man. Because I love those guys.
Sure.
We actually, I love their music, big fans, and we actually shared the same producer on some records, Ron St. Germain, and so it was just it was just a stupid thing, all fueled by drinking too much.
I read a story that you rented Scott Weiland's bus, the same bus where he tragically, overdosed.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just wild. So you didn't know at the time.
No.
And somebody told you after. What was your reaction after that?
Well, how it came about was someone on the tour bus was going through the cabinets stocking groceries and found a bunch of VIP backstage passes for the Wildabouts. And so my management called and asked the tour bus company, this isn't Scott Weiland's bus that he passed away on, and we found out, and it was just a little unnerving, and so we made a switch.
Gosh, that had to be a little scary. When you have so many great songs that you've written over the years, when you're writing a song like Arms Wide Open, a song that you won a Grammy for, when you're writing that song or when you're in the studio recording that song, do you say to yourself, this is going to be something special, or you don't realize that until maybe a little time down the road?
There are more than a few, probably 10 or 11, maybe more, Creed songs, and a handful of solo songs that I knew when they were written.
You knew.
I just had a feeling inside that there was something special about this song, And back in the day, the Creed guys and we would call it the goosebump test. And when a song gave us goosebumps, as the writers while we're playing it, we kind of knew it was special.
You knew.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I have talked to in the past, even Scott Weiland, I've interviewed him in the past. He lost his voice over his career, and you're known for having one of the best voices, certainly of my generation. I saw you perform here at Brooklyn Bowl, and I know you're coming back in September on your new tour.
Yeah.
Your voice sounds as good as ever, and I'm thinking to myself, how is that possible? Is it just you've taken care of your voice, or because there's a lot of people that came out. Even Chris Cornell, he had an unbelievable voice, but he started to lose it a little bit towards the end. I mean, how have you been able to maintain that?
Well, I think, some of it is genetics. I think some of it is also sobriety. For years, early in my career, I didn't take care of my body. I was drinking, I was smoking cigarettes, I was, not doing things that are conducive to keeping a voice healthy. But I tell you, ever since, I'm coming up on 5 years sober, I'm singing better now than I feel I've ever sang in my entire career. And I think, 90% of that is sobriety, and the other 10% of that is just experience, learning how to properly sing over the years, technique, and just working on your craft and getting better. And then I take care of my voice. I don't do anything that would hurt my voice.
And this new tour, just want to mention it again, starts in mid-June this month, and you're coming here
June 20th.
Yeah, and you're coming here to Brooklyn Bowl in September, so I will certainly be there for that show. You always put on an unbelievable show. There's no question about it. Going through all the years and how your career just never, does it ever get old for you to be able to sing songs like that on stage, the hits from back then? Because I talked to some people and they're like, and even Kurt Cobain, Smells Like Teen Spirit, he didn't even like singing the song years down the road. Does it ever get old for you?
No, you know why it doesn't get old for me? Because with those songs, it's not about me anymore. For me, the gratitude and the gift of seeing the fans and the people that love those songs in front of me, in the audience, singing at the top of their lungs, cheering, and I vibe off that energy. So if I was so self-absorbed that I was only inside of my own needs and wants, I wouldn't have the eyes open to appreciate that experience.
That makes sense.
And so, they never gets old to me.
Explain to me, you're born in Orlando, but yet you're a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Explain to me why that is.
I think it was just, being 4 or 5. I happened to be sitting in front of a television around that age and saw the Cowboys, saw their uniforms. They probably won a big game. And, I remember, Tony Dorsett, Danny White.
Sure.
Those were the years that I became a fan, so I don't know how old I was at the time, but I just somehow I connected with that team and have never left.
I feel like if Jerry Jones just took a few steps back from that team and let someone else get in there and make some decisions, I think they'd be contending for Super Bowls. I really do. Do you agree with that?
I think Jerry Jones is a football genius. I think it's his team, and I think he does delegate a lot more than people give him credit for. But being someone who played football, who knows football, and who's been around football his entire life, I think that his involvement in what he does only makes the team better.
Sure. I don't think people realize this about you. Only a couple more questions, then I know you're catching a show later tonight, so I got to get you out of here. But, the Arms Wide Open Foundation, you've helped so many underprivileged kids. And I know you went, correct me if I'm wrong, you went with your wife to Japan after the tsunami, and you helped so many people out there. I don't think people realize this about you. You have helped so many people in your life. And for many people out there, even that have gone through similar struggles that you've gone through, I think they should look up to somebody like you that's turned your life around.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. The foundation is something I started in 1998, and we continue to work on, and it was something I kept private. It's not something I ever publicized for probably the first 15 years of the foundation, and now it's expanded because of my life experience. And not only do we continue to help children and families in need, but we help vets, those suffering from addiction, alcoholism.
That's awesome.
Mental health concerns. Things that the time I started it, I hadn't gone through yet as a human being.
Right.
And so when you go through those journeys yourself, and coming out the other side, I think, at least for me, I'm compelled to want to help others that are suffering because I know there's a way out.
It's amazing. Well, you know what? Thank you so much, first of all, for taking some time to join us. Really appreciate it. I know you've had a very busy day.
Yeah,
Not going to miss your show in September, and I cannot wait for the new album.
Yeah, man.
New single's great.
Check it out, man. You can. It's called The Space Between the Shadows.
Yep.
You can pre-order the album now and get 3 tracks that are on the record instantly if you download it online. So check them out.
Absolutely. Scott Stapp, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Enjoy the show tonight, man.
Thank you so much.
Catch up with you in September.
You know, with 3 kids at home, the wife and I don't get many times to have a date night. So.
I feel bad. I might have taken some time away from that, so I apologize.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in, Scott.
Thank
All
you.
right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.
This is The Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!